Hey guys, this is Lochie, and as I'm sure you're aware, this is my new and improved VR inventory system. This is my first time recording a video with audio, and if it sounds like I'm recording with a potato, I pretty much am. Let's get right into it. Um, in this system, you can open up your inventory by pressing the menu button, or any button you would choose to assign it to. For those of you who don't know, the menu button is the little button above the trackpad. And yeah, so I've chosen to pick things up with the trigger and to drop things with the grip, but that's all up to you. So if I put my hand over an inventory item and pull the trigger, it just picks it up and then I can throw it around or do whatever I want to do. You can summon items in on the floor initially, or you can choose to put them like how I have. I can pick an item up, I can put it in the inventory again, I can pick it up, put it in. It's pretty simple. You can also notice how I'm not able to put items into the wrong item slot. They have to match. So I can close with the menu and open with the menu, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, so obviously the point of an inventory system is to store items. So I guess the next thing to do would be to create some items. Basically, you need to create the item that you want to store. This can be anything you'd like. I'm just going to go with a default cube because there's no extra steps necessary. Then what you need to do is go into the VR inventory tab, item prefabs, and then you can drag the object you want into there. You can do this anywhere, but I recommend doing it here for organization reasons. I can go into VR inventory in the top bar, convert to item, drag the prefab into there, choose an ID. This has to be unique, so it cannot be the same as anything else. I'm going to go with cube _1. I'm going to make it stackable. This is totally optional. You can make it not stackable for things like weapons if you want to, but yeah, it's totally optional. Yep, drag the prefab in, and this thing right here is not really usable at the moment, but it is something that I'll fix later on. Next thing you do is you press convert, and then it has done everything you need. It's added a few components. These I'll talk to you about later on, and it has created a scriptable object storing all the items. Okay, so the next thing to do is configure the items. In this item data component, there are a few things you can change. Can drop is basically whether you want them to be able to drop the items. I've found uses for that. That's just sort of an optional thing. Made at runtime, what that does is it makes it so that the item doesn't need a ID. It just makes it so that when it is made at runtime, it can work. Hide controller, that's basically just saying whether it should hide the controller while you're holding this item. Preset item is something you don't need to worry about, that's already configured. The amount is also already configured. The display size is how big the object is going to be when it's inside of the inventory. Display rotation and position are pretty much the same thing as well. Held size is how big it's going to be when it's in your hand, and it's the same with held rotation and held position. Also, on this upper held object component, drop on trigger up, that basically means whether it should be dropped when you let go of the trigger or whatever button you've chosen, and or whether you should have to press the drop button to drop it. Okay, some more things that you can do are configuring the controller settings. I'm just going to select both controllers so I don't have to do it twice, and basically you can choose the summon button. This is pretty much what button you need to press to bring up the menu. I'm just going to leave it as the application menu. That's just sort of what I like doing. Hold to activate is basically when it's not enabled you toggle the menu, but if you're holding it you just hold down the button. The pickup button is pretty self-explanatory again, it's just what you use to pick things up. Drop button, drop. And hide controller is more so if it is on hidden, that means it's always going to be hidden, and if it's not, that means it's never going to be hidden. Actually no, that means it's going to be hidden if the other things tell it to. Vibrate on hover, basically it's for testing purposes. When your controller is inside of an inventory slot, it basically makes it so that your controller vibrates. Okay, so when creating custom slots, these slots must have a slot component. Now that's fairly obvious. Its parent must have a canvas component and all the other configurative things you want, and it must have a slot manager. This just stops a bunch of errors from occurring. The inventory must have an inventory component that'll just automatically add the item database component, and the starter items is basically what you want to get given when the game starts. You can choose what item ref it has, which is inside of these it's these right here. You just drag that in, you choose how many you want, and then it'll just add it to the inventory in that order. The other thing you can do is you can just drag the prefabs into the scene. It works like you'd expect. Not much to it. Okay, so that's pretty much everything. This is going to be on the asset store soon enough. It still has to get accepted, so it's not going to be on there yet. But I haven't chosen a price for it yet. Yeah, you'll be able to get it soon. I'll configure a few things a bit more and make it a bit easier to use. But yeah, thanks for watching.